an interview with Rishi Raj, COO at Max Estates. Hi, welcome Rishi. Hi, how are you?
Thank
How are
you.
you?
All well, Jayashree. Great to speak to you today.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So Rishi, I just wanted to know, you come from a very consulting background. You come from a consulting business, and now you are moved to a real estate company where you are handling practically everything that happens in a real estate company. What made you do this transition?
Let me just quickly take you back a little bit in terms of my journey so far and then cover the transition question. I started after my MBA, I started working with McKinsey and Company where I spent 17 years. It was unlike a typical consulting profile, a very entrepreneurial profile. So in 17 years duration, I did multiple things simultaneously. I was involved in building out the knowledge center office of McKinsey and Company in India. I was entrusted with the responsibility of building out center of excellence at a global footprint for strategy and corporate finance practice, which I led, which had 100 members across 6 locations. And like a typical consultant, I did a lot of consulting assignment across the globe, across the sector. Given the nature of the role, as I said, very entrepreneurial to build capabilities from scratch. I didn't realize when my 15 years or 16 years in McKinsey how fast it went. But there was this itch to say, I wouldn't want to be a lifer in McKinsey. Many people do that. It's an excellent place to work throughout your life. There was this itch to be on the other side of the table, to get into an execution role and get exposure to other experiences in life. And that led to me moving out of McKinsey in 2016 to Max Group, where I started my journey as a head of group strategy, Jayashree. That basically that was an excellent exposure for me to work with all our operating companies within Max Group: life insurance, healthcare, senior living, packaging film. I had no clue at that point in time that I will ultimately land into real estate, because Max at that point in time was not formally into real estate. Having done this corporate strategy role for 3 years, as Max decided to restructure its portfolio following the principle of natural ownership, where we exited health insurance and healthcare and reduced our exposure in life insurance, I was entrusted with the responsibility to do a white paper on real estate, which I presented to the board of Max Estates. Then it was called Max Ventures and Industries Limited. And since then, almost 6 years now, Jayashree, 5 to 6 years doing real estate. It has been one of the most fulfilling experience in my professional journey so far, because you not only did the strategy, you got the opportunity to execute. And in summary, I had the opportunity to play a role, critical role, important role in growing the portfolio from 1 million to 17 million square foot, 30 people to 300 people, and market cap has gone multifold from 500 crores to almost touching $1 billion now. So it was a very fulfilling experience, and I'm continuing to build from here.
As COO at Max Estates, what are some of your priorities, and how did you manage to understand the commercial aspect? Because most of your projects are all commercial. So how did you manage to understand the nuances of the commercial projects, especially in NCR?
Jayashree, just to quickly update, when you look at our portfolio today, Delhi NCR, when we did the white paper, we came up with this strategy of one region, multiple asset class. Be in Delhi NCR and multiple asset class. While we started with commercial real estate, we have ventured into residential. So out of this 17 million delivered, under construction, under design, around 6 million delivered and under construction is commercial office, and balance is residential and mixed use. And we have already now launched 3 back-to-back successful residential launches in Noida and Gurgaon put together. So that's our portfolio. I think it's a great question, because when I joined Max Group, I literally had not much background in this sector. I might have done a couple of assignments in real estate when I was in McKinsey. But one thing, and that's why McKinsey is such a great place, it teaches you to zoom in and zoom out, get into any new sector, take on any new set of problems, and learn about it very quickly. So if you look at my journey in Max Estates, after I did the white paper, it all started with a role to grow the real estate business, which was more of a business development role. And as I dwelled deeper into it, as I dwelled deeper into identifying newer opportunities to take it from 1 to now 17 million square foot, that gave me solid understanding of what drives value from a economic value perspective in real estate. And thereon, the role then expanded beyond business development to take the ownership of top line. And then gradually it expanded. As I say, you earn the right to grow. It expanded to now take on the full P&L role and run the business on a day-to-day basis.
What are some of the challenges of developing commercial properties today?
If you look at commercial office in Delhi NCR, it was at peak in 2019, right? Okay. And then once COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty around whether office is here to stay or not. Basis the research and our own intuition, we always believed that office, particularly in India, is here to stay and here to stay for long. Now, post-COVID, if you look at 2024, commercial office is back fully. If you look at the numbers of gross leasing, it is going to well surpass the numbers that we did in 2019. So from a macro and market perspective, the headwinds are away and we are back into a significant demand and traction for commercial office in general. Having said that, many things have changed, Jayashree, as far as demand pattern and expectations are concerned. On one hand, there is a significant shift from US multinational accounting for 50+% of demand to leading Indian domestic players accounting for 40 to 45% of the demand, which earlier they used to account for 25-30%. Global capability centers, which value a lot people's experience, are big drivers of demand in India, and they account for almost 30 to 35%, cutting across multiple sectors. Lot of demand is now also going in for smaller and modular sizes. But mother of all, and the biggest change which has happened post-COVID, is the flight for quality, and the premium for quality has never been as strong as ever. So for credible corporate developers like us who do not sell their office, who do not strata sell, who institutionally owns and manages it, so that we can provide that top-notch experience through world-class facility management, as well as what we call under work well philosophy, curating an ecosystem of amenities and services which can really focus on true well-being of employees who are working out of our office. If you can deliver that experience, which can lead to improvement in productivity, decrease the attrition, improve the overall quality of life of your end users, you are in the game for long term, commanding that premium for quality. And if you look at our portfolio today, we have delivered Max Towers, Max House in Delhi, Max Square on Noida, Greater Noida Expressway. Consistently, we have commanded 30% premium at the back of this philosophy of designing and developing and managing our office assets.
With over 2 decades of experience in strategy and corporate, what are some of the key milestones in your career you believe shaped you as a leader?
That's a great question. As I reflect on it, there are multiple. I'll just articulate here crisply. Number one, I have found hypothesis-led decision making as a very agile way of taking decisions and making calls, wherein you have an hypothesis and you collect enough data and evidences to disprove that hypothesis. And if you're not able to disprove, and if hypothesis test stand the test of data and evidences, you take those call and move on. Not to say that the judgment and the gut feel doesn't matter, it equally matters. That brings a lot of discipline, particularly in the context of real estate, which has got so many variables and so many risks underlying the value chain. Number one. Number two, back in McKinsey, I've seen we used to say no to client assignments if we believed we cannot own that assignment and create disproportionate amount of value for our clients. Similarly, in real estate, that has helped me to have a mindset which is a capital intensive business. You have to judiciously deploy capital. If you get your capital allocation wrong, you will be back by many years. So you should have the discipline of saying no to an opportunity despite all the pressures of growth that you may have for a listed company. Number three.
That is very hard, Rishi, saying no.
Yeah, and we have said no to many opportunities which our competition has gone ahead with. Third really is, you cannot build an institution basis one man show. So what we have been able to do is really build a team with an inclusive culture. We have been able to instill the culture of what we call cross-functional team setting and taking decisions in cross-functional team setting, right from identifying and saying yes to the opportunity to design, development, and asset management. What that does is it brings views and perspectives of people from all aspects of value chain, which ultimately matters a lot to deliver that top-notch client experience under our work well and live well philosophy. Finally, couple of more things which is very, very important, Jayashree, is do not ignore risk. Real estate, if you look at from land acquisition to asset management, it has so many variables and so many underlying risks that gets into your portfolio. So as an organization, which not many incumbent developers have done well in the past, we have created a risk register and a risk culture where people right from junior most people in the hierarchy to topmost people can talk about the risk in a cross-functional setting freely. And finally, agility. I think last 6 years we have gone through several external changes in the environment, and if as a real estate developer, like many other industries, you have to be agile in terms of doing things differently and adapting to ever-changing external environment. So those are 5 or 6 things which has really shaped me as a leader and has helped me run Max Estates successfully.
So Rishi, if I had to ask you about some of the innovations that Max Estates has brought to the table in terms of projects, what would they be?
As I said, we have built 17 million square foot Delhi NCR, Gurgaon, Noida, Delhi, both commercial office, residential, and now mixed use development as well. As you think about innovation, 2 things come to your mind: doing different things and doing things differently. We are very clear that we have to be focused and we want to be in residential and commercial in Delhi NCR as a strategy. But what we are also very clear is to continuously evolve and do things differently. Just to give you a couple of examples. If you look at Gurgaon market today, and if you look at last 2 years in Gurgaon market, more than 100 million square foot of supply has come to the market, predominantly in luxury and super luxury space, and primarily large 3 and 4 bedrooms. So what has happened is the market has gone one way, one size fit all, without innovating the product customized to the needs of different target segment. So just to illustrate it with the example, when we launched Estate 360, our first residential in Gurgaon, we came up with this theme of intergenerational, where we, along with our sister company, Antara Senior Living, Antara Senior Care, we said we will create an ecosystem where people of multiple generations can stay together. They can have their own privacy and exclusivity, yet be part of a larger ecosystem. Insights that we got basis the work we have done in this field in the past. And then we said, you don't need to have one size fit all for all segment. You will need to customize the product for seniors who have different needs and they need different kinds of services versus what a middle-aged population would need. So that's one example. And as we evolve, you will see in our subsequent launches, what we have also realized is we have completely ignored a very important target segment, which is millennial, which is younger generation, which is late 20s to late 30s, right? They have the discretionary income, they have the power to buy their own houses, but they need a very different kind of a product. They necessarily do not need large houses, right? They may need smaller ticket size with lot of services and amenities embedded into a premium luxury ecosystem. So that's something that we will bring to the market in our subsequent launches. So this is one among many examples which is in the context of product market innovations that we have been doing. The other thing I would like to call out, Jayashree, to your question on innovation is which people ignore, is if you have to sustain, and if you have to sustain for longer term, if you have to be here for 100, 200 years as an organization, and not 10 to 15 years, lot of incumbents are out of business, then you need to focus a lot on organizational innovation, particularly focus on people, processes and systems, and digital. Just to give you one example on the people front, we can talk about others subsequently. Today, in real estate, only 10 to 12% of workforce is women versus globally 40% plus. At Max Estates, our gender diversity is 20%. We want it to grow to 30%. If you look at fields like marketing, sales, design, you have enough representation of women. But if you look at project and project execution, insignificant representation of women. If you look at construction sites, most of the laborers are men and not women, right? So recently we published a report called Concrete Change, which really focuses on how do you increase participation of women in real estate. And it touched on many aspects. One aspect which is very close to my heart is to embed awareness and the value proposition of being in real estate right at the academic level, so that not just female colleagues, but male colleagues as well, but more so female colleagues can start understanding how real estate can take care of, the value chain of real estate can take care of their aspirations and need. And we are going to do some tie-ups in this context in near future.
Tell us about the role that technology and digitalization plays at Max Estates.
The digital or technology, if you look at real estate, if you look at prop tech, if you look at real tech, it has unfortunately been a laggard compared to fintech. I think compared to fintech, we are years behind. But the good news, Jayashree, is that's fast changing. Today we have got 1,500 plus real tech startups trying to solve problems in different parts of the value chain. If you look at Max Estates, we started our journey 5 to 6 years back, 8 years, but really 5 to 6 years back. And we have adopted a strategy of digital first. Early on, we have worked with some of our consulting partners to put together a 3-year digital roadmap. Already, you will be delighted to hear, already across value chain, cutting across customer experience, process enhancement and efficiency, operational saving, we have deployed many digital tools. And I'll give you, for your audience, a couple of quick examples. We are one of the only companies who early on in their journey have adopted SAP for their ERP. This we did 18 to 24 months ago. Today, our entire ERP is on SAP, which many well-established developers are catching up on that now. On the customer experience front, we have deployed tools like Relay so that they get all information in one-stop shop for all the information that they need with respect to their booking and billings. For our lead management, we have deployed Salesforce. For our operational saving, we have deployed, you talked about technology, which also is aiding to sustainability. We have deployed Smart Juice, which helps in optimizing the running cost for chillers. On human resources front, we have now fully digitized the recruitment process through Zoho as a tool. So there are many such examples. One area which is again very close to my heart, which we are focusing on as we speak, is how to digitize the project execution aspect. Whatever industry players say, this has been one of the most difficult aspect to truly digitize, not lip service, not tick the box, truly digitize. So we are working on digitizing our design management process as we speak, quality, safety, and construction planning. And our goal is to implement and adopt that this year as one of the key focus areas for us. But Jayashree, to step back from all of this, I'll tell you, for your audience, what is my learning. My learning is creating a 3-year digital roadmap, easy. Identifying the tools, there are enough, and onboarding them, very easy. The difficult part is adoption. So our focus now is truly to make sure each of these tools are fully adopted, and we really track adoption metrics as far as digital is concerned. And it starts right from making sure there is a full buy-in from users, making sure user teams have got capacity and capability with right training to use this tool, making sure top-down management team uses those tools for the review, and you have adoption metrics that you track on a weekly or a monthly basis in your business reviews. Only then this adoption is going to happen, else it will be just tick the box. So that's where our focus is.
Commercial projects today are highly sustainable projects. How do you work backwards in terms of making a project sustainable, whether it's residential or commercial, in terms of materials and construction execution?
For your audience, if you look at some of these statistics, and everybody talks about it, 39% of carbon emission happens through building, 28 when building is operational, to cool, to heat, to power the building, and 11% when it is under construction, to your point, with respect to materials and construction methodologies. But I'll tell you, there is a good news, Jayashree. The good news is, this is one of the difficult aspects, but good news is, basis a research, 38% reduction in energy intensity for building is possible, which can bring down global energy demand by 12%. So with that positive note, here is what we have done. We have, first of all, the way to do these things are, you put a forcing device for yourself. So early on, we said we will participate in what is called GRESB ranking, which is Global Real Estate Sustainability Benchmark, that measures you on ESG, all three aspects, environmental, social, and governance. And we onboarded ourselves early on 3 years ago. We started with 2 rating, not that we were doing bad with sustainability, but we didn't have data in an organized way. And in 2 years, we have moved to 2 to 4 star out of 5-star rating. And we want to now move to 5-star this year. And that process in itself is leading to multiple changes in the way we run business, including choice of material for the purpose of constructions. Second, we have taken a call that we will do earlier. So far, we have done combination of IGBC gold and platinum green rating for core and shell. Now we have taken a call, we will only do platinum and we will move to LEED, USGBC. You'll be surprised to know, while commercial, lot of building, almost 56% of office spaces where leasing is happening today are green rated. But if you look at residential, out of, let's say, 100% of green rating that happens every year, residential is just 10 to 15%, despite all this hype and drive towards premium and luxury. Because residential consumers are not as demanding B2C as your office customers, global multinational clients. So we have made it a point that both of our Noida and Gurgaon launch is going to be platinum rated. Technology is playing a big role, Jayashree. As I said, if you take energy, water and waste, I gave you the example of using Smart Joule for chiller optimization. We are using organic composting technologies in our development sites from a waste management perspective. We are making sure that our developments are zero grey water discharge. And one of the basic things we figured out to conserve water was to do last mile metering. The moment you do last mile metering, we saw a huge improvement in our consumption pattern. And finally, I would say is there's a lot of buzz around net zero. Easier said than done, right? But to be realistic, what we have done is this year we have taken a target to work with some of our expert partners to do a proper baselining and set a realistic target for both scope 1 and scope 2, which is carbon neutrality, and scope 3, which ultimately will lead to net zero, and next year come back and publish those timelines to the overall market. Again, very early compared to people who have been in the business for decades. But among all of this, Jayashree, I'll tell you one thing. There is a lot of tick the box happening. In my experience, a mindset shift is needed. And that shift is you do this not because it yield some kind of a economic benefit in terms of higher FAR or cost saving. You just do it because it is important and relevant for our long-term sustainability in terms of an environment. All these pluses, savings are byproduct. And second, I strongly believe significant policy intervention has to happen in India to drive this sustainability. I don't think today there are guidelines and framework, but there has to be, time has come for us to have a policy level intervention to drive this beyond people saying we will go for green because it gives us additional FAR.
Where do you see yourself? I mean, in Max Systems, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Tell you for your audience, one very, at a personal level first, a very interesting insight and learning. And then just bear with me for a minute. When I was at McKinsey, I always thought that best run organizations are one which are totally 100% professionally run, right? And the worst organizations are the one which are run just by promoters, okay? Having spent 8+ years at Max, my perspective has completely changed. What I have figured out is organizations where you can have, particularly for real estate, you can have a jugalbandi, and we use this term jugalbandi, between who we call promoters and sponsors, and professionals. If the two can tango and work together, that's the best thing for any organization to happen, because that leads to much higher order of quality of decision making, that leads to speed of decision making, that also puts right checks and balances in place, and that also checks and balances in terms of risk and return, and it really fastens the overall growth of the organization with right enablers in place which can support it for much longer term than we have seen in real estate so far. So that's one of the personal perspectives I wanted to share. And I think the Max group is one group I have known outside in and now inside out, which has really aced that way of working. So very delighted, very happy with the way we are progressing. At an organizational level, see, what is our purpose? Our purpose, Jayashree, and that's an excellent question to conclude this discussion, is to enhance quality of life through spaces that we create. Yes, we want to grow. Yes, we have an aspiration to be leading player in Delhi NCR, top 2 players in Delhi NCR from a scale perspective in near future. But what is more close to our heart is the following. And this is something that came up in discussion between Sahil and me. And we said, do we realize that what we are doing changes the skyline of Delhi NCR? Whatever we build, we have to build with this consciousness that we are impacting the skyline, so it should have right design sensibilities and aesthetic sensibilities. At the same time, it has to be functional and efficient. And the other thing that we are very, very, we take it very, very close to our heart is the realization, Jayashree, and there is now a lot of empirical research and academic research, including one by Dr. Esther Steinberg, which now empirically proves that there is a high degree of correlation between your health and well-being and the quality of real estate that you live and work at. And 95% of the time, we either live in our houses or work in our offices. Our purpose really is to bring that real well-being to real estate by developing commercial offices and residential that can truly enhance the holistic well-being of end users through design, hospitality, ecosystem of amenities and services, and so on and so forth, while we continue to grow and scale our portfolio to become leading players in Delhi NCR, at least in near future.
Thank you so much, Rishi. Thank you so much for your time.